I'm Mikail, and this is how you sell without selling out. Rogers that.
Hi, I'm Rogers Healy, and welcome to Rogers That, a podcast dedicated to selling without selling out. And today we have someone, man, I feel old, but we have someone who's the future. I'm no longer, I don't even know if I was the future, but I used to be The Weeknd, which is a great singer, and it's our guest's favorite singer. I actually was never The Weeknd either. I am old and washed up, and today is officially the day that I have to admit that, because I'm sitting here with the future, someone who has become a buddy. He's a leader. He has a knack for seeing things that other people can't. He's a developer. But when you think of developer, it's probably a different definition than when I think of a developer. Ironically, he's a real estate developer, but what he's really developing is community. My buddy Mikail Onu is an SMU graduate. He played football there and learned things along the way that other people probably run from. He learned finance. He excelled on the field, but he learned how to go and leverage his connections at a very young age. And he put things together that, again, we're going to talk about it, that most people would never dream of, because it takes a different type of personality to go this big. What he's doing for our city in Dallas has a butterfly effect across the entire community. By the way, I'm not reading off a script. This is all from heart. In the entire community, where it's going to be widespread, nationwide, worldwide. And again, he's just getting started. And these are words that maybe people used to say about me when I was 27, but maybe not. But with all that being said, I'm excited. This is an entrepreneur of entrepreneurs. He's a leader of leaders. He has a calming presence. And lastly, this guy has a knack for press unlike anyone else I've ever seen. National news, local news, awards, TV shows. And I asked him, I saw him at something. I was like, how'd you get these? He's like, I don't know. They just found me, which that probably is part of his just aura in general. So with all that being said, the man behind Onu Ventures, Mikail Onu, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm not sure if I'm deserving, but I appreciate it.
Was it accurate?
I think it's accurate.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
So you're deserving. Yeah. So set the stage. Tell us, again, you're getting started. You're 27 and you have all these accomplishments, which, the premise of this show is literally for people like you. It's to show that you can do well and you can still do good, right? So what's the story that got us here today?
Yeah, well, for me, going back to just, I was born in Houston. I was fortunate enough to live in a nice home. I have 8 siblings.
I'm sorry? How many?
8 siblings, yeah.
Where do you stack in?
Number 5.
Did you guys have a reality TV show growing up?
We should have.
8 siblings.
And it's hilarious because, I'm 27. We're anywhere from 41 to 13.
My gosh.
So, we're all over the place. But
41 is still really young.
Yes. Yeah, still very young. But I have nieces and nephews that are very close in age to my youngest siblings.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that gives me hope.
Yeah. We have my little sister Addison and my niece Roman. They're maybe 5-6 years apart in age. And so Roman calls Addie Aunt Sister.
I call my mom Little Sister Mom because sometimes I feel like, she's like my little sister. But maybe we should all move to Arkansas.
Yeah. We probably needed a bigger house. Arkansas would have afforded that.
But that's where the Duggars are from, and their show got canceled. So maybe that's what happens today, is that somebody watches this and we blend our families.
Yeah.
And okay, cool. This is how it happened.
If you're listening, this is the origin story.
Yeah.
But that's how it started. And however, my mom was always a community advocate for, Missouri City, which she had a dance studio. It's the only Black and brown dance studio within a 10-mile radius in Missouri City. And so it ended up being a safe haven for people in the community, for kids in the community to, learn dance, learn song, learn poetry. We had summer camps. She had a dance troupe that traveled across the U.S. So they had, dancing in New York. Wow. And it was really eye-opening experience for these kids. And because of that, she was revered. So people in the community kind of came to her as, the sound beacon for all things arts and culture. And so the opportunity came for her to open up a performing arts center. So she wanted to have a 126 seat theater nearby where we had the dance studio. And of course, she didn't have the financing and didn't really have the wherewithal at the time to get the financing. And so, I'm the finance guy of the family. That's what I graduated with. And so she asked me, I said, I don't know either, but I guess we'll figure it out. And so I kind of took that approach. And she did most of it herself, and she hired a developer, but I kind of had a backseat to that whole process. And I got to see now the apartments are done, the performing arts center is under construction. Now I'm kind of seeing the impact she's having over there. And it kind of made me, just think bigger. That was really the first development project I had seen. Before that, I didn't even know real estate development existed. I went through SMU not knowing that you could buy homes for profit until like my junior year. So I didn't grow up around real estate. This all happened really 2017, 18 and beyond. And so I'm seeing, this area where I grew up in being transformed in front of me. And I come to Dallas at SMU, and if you know SMU, you know where it is. It's kind of like a bubble, right? And I was fortunate enough to go through the Cox School, and I was in a fraternity. I played football, and so I had friends from all different backgrounds, and I got to see kind of the dichotomy between what was happening at SMU and what was happening in my backyard back home, and it didn't really make sense. Of course, it's Houston versus Dallas, but if you look at the proximity to the urban core, it's about the same. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why people weren't looking to develop in these areas. There's ample demand, there's an ample population, and then the cities are growing. Houston and Dallas are growing at a rapid pace. And so eventually these, outer ring suburbs will eventually become developed, and they'll become the new hubs, which you're starting to see now. And so I'm going to some of the nicest restaurants. I'm going to, vacationing. And I'm talking to my friends about their experiences growing up. And I just wanted to kind of recreate that in areas that I was more familiar in. And so that's kind of the premise behind Old New Ventures.
Which again, that's a lot of, maybe not a lot, but some people think that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe the more traditional path, and maybe this is where we align, right? It was always, and still frustrating for me when someone says, just put in time, go, pay your dues, blah, 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 go work for a big company. You didn't do that.
No.
And when you decided to start your company, what phase of life were you in?
So I started the company in late 2021. I was 2.5 years removed from college, and I was already kind of in real estate, but definitely nothing as ambitious as what we're doing now. But honestly, and I always say this when people ask me, like, why'd you get started? I didn't know enough to not get started. I think ignorance was truly bliss.
Dude, it's so true.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know about the historical context of why you don't invest below I-30. I didn't know how much real estate development costs, like something that large, how much that costs.
The liability.
How
people love to sue you.
The risk. Yeah. I mean, we're bad guys in the view of the residents in the area a lot of the time. I didn't know any of this. I had no context. I knew about the numbers, and that's pretty much it in the design, which is what I was doing before I started on Adventures. Those two things. And so, when you don't know, you just do. And I'm a risk taker. I really believe in myself. I really feel that if I actually apply myself, I'll figure it out. And so I trusted myself to figure it out. I was working in interventional cardiology at the time, which helped me get started.
One more time, was what?
I was working in interventional cardiology.
Oh, which is most people do that and then jump into real estate.
Right. Yeah.
Interventional cardiology. What is that? Like, you were a heart surgeon?
So no,
just for fun.
So for fun, right? So I work with Edwards Life Sciences. They're a global medical device company, but they specialize in heart valve therapies. And so my team, the TMTT team, we were doing research trials on medical devices that targeted, for me, tricuspid regurgitation, but they had, aortic valve devices, mitral valve devices. And basically the premise is that these are older patients that can't, open heart surgery is much riskier for them. And so interventional cardiology is when you go through the femoral vein and you basically balloon these devices at the heart. And it's minimally invasive. And so it's a better chance of a healthy life after, but definitely it's less risky than open heart surgery for older patients.
Is it weird being as smart as you are? You lost me like 10 minutes ago, and I in my head I'm Googling all interventional cardi. Like, I mean, again, this is not normal. right? And I feel like you know that, right?
Mhm.
You realize you have a gift, and God blessed you with intellect that is not. It's I don't have it. No one else has it, right? So you're in here doing interventional cardiology, and then you decide to start a real estate company.
Correct.
Which
Yes.
again, not that's not the path that
Right.
most people take.
Right.
And it was because you saw a need,
Mhm.
right? I've always thought that the best way to make money is to create convenience,
Right.
right? Which is kind of code for, or not code, it's kind of translation for doing the work no one else wants to do.
Right.
But what you decided to do was to go against really simple real estate logic,
Right.
right? You wanted to go and build in a neighborhood that hasn't been built before because it's a food desert, it's a retail desert, it's a there's nothing over there that nothing is happening for a reason, right? But you are the movement, right? And so you create O New Ventures in 2021.
Yes.
And what was the business plan?
There was no business plan.
Yeah.
It was just develop what we can. No, I knew we wanted to. So the business plan, which still exists today, is we want to go into underserved, underdeveloped areas, right? And I want to just make sure I clarify this. We're not going into super poor areas and impoverished areas that don't have any sign of life. That's not what we're doing. We're not in rural areas. We're in areas that are 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes away from downtown, major city centers. Or they're in Southern Dallas, we're an industrial hub, or we're nearby multiple universities. So these are really good areas, but for
which
whatever
is crazy
reason,
because people
don't
in
know.
Dallas don't know.
They don't know at all.
Huh.
And so really our goal is we want to be the highest quality provider of real estate development in these areas. We feel that if we can be on the forefront, people will open their eyes and say, well, look at what's going on here. We can buy land at a good enough basis comparative to probably anywhere else in DFW. There's a lot of demand here. People are looking and yearning for high quality, especially retail, but housing developments in these areas. And so if we want to be on the cusp of that, we want to be the forefront of that. And to do that affordably, we have to be able to back into a price that makes it accretive for residents and consumers.
So what's the big buzzword? If you had to have one buzzword around all that, what is it? What's the big real estate word?
Community.
Yeah. And what's the bad word that everyone likes to use instead?
Gentrification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So to everyone watching and listening, maybe explain what gentrification is historically.
Yeah. So historically, and so I'm going to answer your question in how residents think about it, right, in the area. So if I've been living here for generations, decades, right, and someone comes in here that does not look like me, doesn't sound like me, spends way more than me, and that thereby increases the cost of living for me here to where it's unattainable for me to live here or stay here, and I have to be moved out, that's gentrification. Now, the levers that you pull to what makes it gentrification is property taxes, right, traffic, right? Noise. These are some of the things that residents associate gentrification with. And so it is very much there is no line that's drawn. There's not a point where it's community development and then it's gentrification. It's just how we think about it. How we think about it is we're going to do high quality projects. However, we want to make them price conscious for people that are living there. So our goal is this is our term, right? It's our slogan. We want to design for the current. So we want to design a product that's high enough quality to where people want to be there. The people that are moving from Seattle, moving from Los Angeles, moving from New York, they don't know that you don't go below I-30. That's not a thing. The further and further away we get from, kind of that thought process, the better off Southern Dallas will be. And so these people, these transplants are coming here. They don't have any of the context. And so they're just going to be where they can afford things that they want to be at or want to do. And so if we can design a product that's so high quality that they want to be there, however, we price it for the people that are there currently, everybody wins.
Which the irony too, Dallas, again, I think Dallas has been a convenient city up until like the last 7 or 8 years. Where in Dallas, you mentioned the bubble, right, by SMU. 10 minutes is a commute in Dallas. But somebody moving here from Chicago, Seattle, LA, Denver, Miami, Atlanta, 20 minutes is a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely.
Right? There's obstacles that come with what you're doing, which are exciting. And I think it's going to encourage the city where I think the biggest obstacle we have as a city is education.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that you've seen charter schools pop up and Dion did it, 10, 15 years ago, which again, you're going to be part of that change. But with gentrification, everyone thinks it's a good thing.
Right.
It's not always a good thing,
No.
right? And kind of from the real estate perspective, what you're saying with property taxes, if I've owned this house for 50 years and it's worth $10 and you build a house next door that's worth $20, my taxes are going to probably double.
Yeah.
And if enough of those people can't afford that increase in taxes, they have to find a new place to move to.
Yeah.
And that's why South Dallas has historically just kind of been a different kind of shift, but like you said, building for the current, right? So maybe walk us through some of the project. Maybe walk us through the first project that you put together.
So the first project I put together at Onu Ventures, there was two at the same time. Actually,
Why did you come up with that name?
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of random.
I'm joking. It's your last name. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's my last name, which
you really were about to think hard on that.
Yeah, not to think really, really hard about that.
Yeah.
I forgot where the name came from. It's been so long, right?
Yeah, naming something after yourself is such a terrible idea.
I know. Who does that?
Well, I don't know. Well,
I mean, God.
All right, first project.
Onu that.
Onu that.
Onu global relocation.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that, man. Yeah. People they love lawsuits with anything that has a last name in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, your first project.
Yeah, my first project was a 40-acre single family home community in Lancaster, Texas. And they put us through the ringer on that.
40 acres.
40 acres.
You couldn't just do a flip home. You couldn't just do a single spec. You had to go and do 40 acres.
Correct.
In Lancaster. Yes. And for context, back in the day when real estate was not great, I think Lancaster was in the top 3 cities in the entire nation for foreclosures. It was Lancaster, Duncanville, and DeSoto. Yep. So you go straight into the pit of the fire. Yep. And you build on 40 acres. So walk us through it.
So no, we didn't build on it. So the project originated in early 2021. It's really how I wanted to start Onu Ventures. I was working with AR Homes at the time, and I brought them this deal, and they didn't want to do it. I'm like, you guys are crazy. This is a great deal. We're buying this for $1.24 per square foot. This is a beautiful area. There's no demand here. The demand that is there gets taken off the market in days. Granted, that was during the time. I think that was everything. But so they didn't want to do it. So I was like, well, I'll do it. And so we took it through the zoning process and we got destroyed. I mean, destroyed. And that's how I really learned. That's when I learned development through that project. We couldn't get zoning approved. We had a thoroughfare plan that we had to get amended. That didn't happen. So we just gave it up. And I used that, learned from that, and then started the project we're doing right now, which is the Adeline. That's a 12-acre mixed-use development. It's on the intersection of 45 and 20. We just broke ground on the 2-acre retail center called the Adeline Plaza. There's a 4,000 square foot market and cafe, which is, RIP, but it's Foxtrot, Berkeley's, Eatsy's type of, market cafe hybrid with a little bit more indoor seating.
Just give a shout out to Foxtrot.
I did.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Golly.
Man, so sad.
Sad day.
I was there the day before.
I was there the day of.
Yeah.
The food is still on the shelves.
Really?
Yeah. It's funny when somebody closes up retail, they literally come with like Mr. T chains. Yeah. And you know who Mr. T is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah. So again, here we are doing a mixed use development in 12 acres in what city?
In Dallas.
In Dallas.
Yeah, in Dallas.
And so what's been the process of that? How much have you learned over the course of not that much time?
Learned a lot. I mean, we still have so much to go. I mean, again, we're starting phase 1 now, which is the retail pad. So, we're doing a lot of leasing right now, which is a challenge out there. We've been pre-leasing for about a year and explaining the pre-leasing process to people who haven't seen a new delivery in a decade is a challenge. Even getting, retail or tenant rep brokers to look in that area when there hasn't been anything there previously has been a challenge. So marketing is huge, which it's helped that we've gotten a good, PR stimulus. We've learned working with cities. Oh man. I mean, Dallas is notorious for how difficult it is to get things done. It's been difficult, but they've also been very supportive of us. But it's made it very hard in the entitlement stage, which is, rezoning, platting, and permitting. More than anything else, I've really had to learn to pick your battles. Pick your battles when it comes to engineering. Pick your battles when it comes to architecture, when it comes to financing. If we're who we say we are and we're pricing for the current, well, we can't take days off when it comes to how we look at design, how we look at, where we're going to put certain walls, because it all impacts cost, which in turn impacts leasing / what you can afford to sell a product to a consumer for
/profit.
Right. And so I've learned to we have to be really, really, really detailed on everything, or we miss something and it's the end of the project.
Are you, sir, a control freak?
Absolutely.
Yeah, duh. You just literally painted the picture of of a control freak.
No, the biggest, for sure.
How big is your team?
So right now and we've had a little bit of turnover, but it's myself, my partner Perry, who was the VP at AR Homes when I was working with them. Aaron, he's one of my partners, but he's not really in house, but he's our retail partner. I have an assistant, Kathleen, who's great, and then Cody, who's our purchasing manager. So it's us, and then Chelsea, marketing. So we have 6 people.
But you're involved in every aspect.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I don't get as involved when we start building things, because that stuff's kind of not over my head, but that takes years. You can't read a book on construction. You got to go through certain construction projects, and my partner really does that. But before that, all the development, acquisitions, raising money, seeking debt, it's all me.
You've been scaling along the way, right? And I think that's real estate is all about scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're forcing yourself at a younger age to figure out what you shouldn't be doing.
Exactly.
That took me about 15 years longer than you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty humbling experience, because I thought the business owner was literally supposed to be involved in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me a micromanager without intention. And I had to just, again, physically remove myself to free up my headspace. So as you've continued this, if you had to pinpoint one thing you suck at that you'll never be good at, what is it?
That I'll never be good at.
Yeah. I'm saying like out of all the different,
Right.
like you're great at finance, you're great at the vision, like is it the minutia? Like, do you get stuck in the, like I'm an A and a Z guy, right? B through Y is where I struggle. But what's been the hardest part, where maybe the hardest part is realizing that it's not the best use of your time?
That's probably one of the hardest parts. Again, I am a control freak. I can't help it. Eventually, I hope to start to be able to delegate. I've tried, and
well, you're delegating.
I'm delegating a bit, but I definitely, as we grow, I'll delegate more. But I think what I'm not good at, which I'm working on, but frankly, it's just not in my DNA, is I'm not really a schmoozer. I'm not very social. And I'm not someone that really likes to face the public. I can get kind of stubborn in my beliefs and what I think. I think if I think what I'm doing is right, there's virtually nothing you can tell me.
When was the last time you had publicity? Last week?
Yeah, last week.
D Magazine?
D Magazine.
Was your name in it?
It was. Matter of fact, actually.
That's why they're like, we're going to eventually turn you into a politician. As a matter of fact, what?
So Yin Ong, shout out to Yin. He is the principal over at 5G Studio Collaborative. They did Virgin Hotels, he's an architect. He sends me a message, says, "Hey, I saw you in D Magazine." I'm like, what? I haven't talked to them. And this was maybe a couple days after.
I haven't talked to them since I got the D500 award.
Right.
You were the youngest one in there.
Which is how I met Ian.
Yeah.
But he sends me this picture of, and he was just sitting in an office, and they had this quote talking about how I wanted to create a new generation of innovators in Southern Dallas. I'm like, man, when did I say that? I know I said it, but it was a while ago, but this was last week. So I think, what we're trying to do is just kind of spread the word about how we're viewing real estate. We're not a nonprofit. We would not be there if we didn't think there was a great opportunity to invest, make a substantial return while doing good. That's why we're there. We're not there because I'm not from Southern Dallas. I didn't know anything about below I-30 until after SMU. Yeah. Right. So, but anyways, I'm not I can't do that. So it's hard for me to.
But that's what makes you believable, right? When I was kind of climbing my real estate career, I clung to builders.
Yeah.
And they're different than you in the sense that most builders they literally shouldn't be selling.
Yeah.
Right. Which they're kind of curmudgeons and they're just waiting for you to come after them. And I eventually was like, you need somebody to be your extension of sales, which you are your brand. Right. And I think you live that, which I think that you're going to continue to scale up, but you have sales partners that are going to help you where it's like with venture, right? I think the last thing a founder should be doing is raising money, right? A founder needs to be leading the company, and they need to be being the vision, and they need to be kind of, running the show, which you're doing. So maybe talk to us about, you said the first property in Lancaster, you got your butt handed to you. You learned a lot. What was the first hard lesson that gave you the opportunity to pivot, since you are, again, the man behind the company?
Do more research. I thought I was an expert researcher because that was what I did for Edwards Life Sciences, but
college is different.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, spend the money up front so that you don't get hit in the head later on. So if you're going to spend, development is expensive. So if you're going to spend that money, make sure you're deploying it in a way that that makes it to where you're not having to continuously do that over and over and over again throughout the life cycle of the project. So had we have spent money on engineering earlier on, had we gotten our attorneys involved earlier on, we probably wouldn't have gone under contract because this is all basic stuff. I know to look for it now, but at the time I didn't. So really just doing more upfront work and just assuming that, I think how I was taught real estate is different than how a lot of developers were taught. A lot of developers were taught in an institutional office. And so you
were taught doing in a heart surgeon office.
Exactly. Yeah. I was taught by doctors how to develop multifamily, but no. So I think that when your first experience in development is through an institutional shop, you kind of lose what makes real estate great, in my opinion. You've kind of reduced real estate to spreadsheets, which on the flip side can make it to where you're making sound decisions, but you're kind of losing on opportunities. So I go and walk the area, drive the area. I look at the property. People don't do that anymore. They'll Google Earth it. No, I got to be there. I got to walk. I got to smell it. I got to feel it. I got to taste it. Yes, I eat dirt. I got to taste it. I'm joking, but
are you though?
Kind of done it before. But no. So I thought it was a really good deal. So I felt that I was confident in the asset, but that was one of those lessons where, it's not that easy in development. You have to actually spend money and spend capital and deploy it in a way that you get the answers you need early.
What do you feel like y'all on, maybe not on paper, but when you're in the community and they say, what's different about you? Not necessarily like your company. What's actually different?
Is that if I'm in the community, is that I'm here and I'm here at this point. So if you were to look at our plans, the reason why it takes us so long is like, when is Owner Venture delivering? Well, we go through, at least 20 iterations of a site plan, never mind the buildings. So we'll have our base site plan with example renderings, and we'll use the community, the politicians, and they're basically, we call it our canvas. And so we'll allow them to just throw paint on the canvas and we'll actually paint it. And so we let the community have so much say so in our plans. And I don't think a lot of developers do that. I know many don't do that. It's here's what we're going to do. If you guys don't like it, great. We're going to do it anyway, or we're going to leave. Whereas we're really agnostic to how we approach development. We want everyone to be, not everyone, but as many people as possible to support the project, which you have to be successful in these areas.
It's a small town mentality.
It's a small town mentality, right? Yeah. Who do you know? We have to make sure we're talking to the voices of the community.
Which on the flip side, a small town will flip on you so freaking quick. When you're a wolf in sheep's clothing, they think you're the good guy. But if you get them involved day one, you can't ask them too many opinions.
Exactly.
But again, they're the ones that are going to be the shepherds for the community. And you want them also as your tenants and residents and, people actually helping you, continue to scale.
Exactly. And my mom was a teacher. When I first started real estate, my goal was to, make educational content. And so we educate the community like, hey, here are the plans, right? Here's A, B, C, and D. Option A is going to cost this much because of this. It's going to take us this long. Here's option B. And we're going to explain the development process to them. So they understand that no one does, people come in and say, hey, here are plans. But we want you to understand why we're doing what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing, so that you can understand and maybe, gain a perspective you didn't have previously and say, okay, I understand. I believe this guy is authentic. He's here. He's investing in this community. He obviously cares about what we have to say. So let's rally behind this guy and hopefully this is a good project. And then we go from there.
So you're less than 5 years in. Is it even fair to ask, I don't know, end goal, maybe that's loaded, but you've done a lot. You've done a lot in a little, which is awesome. And it's scaling and you're doing it. You're hiring yourself, to where you can kind of have a moat around you. What's living in your head right now that you're like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Is it a city? Is it what? I mean, what's the big picture goal? That's not the end goal. What lives inside your head that you're going to do in the near future?
the brand is the goal. I want Onu Ventures to be synonymous with high quality development in underserved areas. So when
give me more specific answer.
When you hear about an Onu Ventures project, right? So I'll liken it to Discovery Land Company. So when they do a new housing community, you know exactly what to expect. You know where the price point is. You know how quality it's going to be. You want to be there immediately before they even start. You're like, okay, I got to get on the list to join this to join this community, right? Good Hospitality with David Grubman, same thing, right? When he has a new concept, if you look at their opening day or their the ribbon cutting ceremonies, their opening day, or like the friends and family openings, soft openings, they're packed. Celebrities, athletes, entertainers, right? I mean, I can go on and on and on, like the W, right? These brands that you know exactly what to expect. You want to be there no matter where it is. Doesn't matter if it's in Scottsdale, it's in Singapore, it's in Houston, it's in LA. You know the type of quality you're going to get. And so that's what I want people to associate Onu Ventures with is when you see that OV logo, right? Whether it's a housing community, whether it's a retail center, whether it's, there's a concept I want to do. I want to do a golf course community, but I won't get into it. It's going to be a little bit different. Whether it's an office, which I don't want to do, but maybe we do at some point. That it's, if I'm a tenant in the area, if I have an e-commerce business or I have, catering company, I'm going to go make sure all of my financials are in order. I'm going to make sure my food's top notch, because if they have a retail center here and I can qualify as a tenant, my brand and my business will amplify and it'll 100x.
Which you're going to do all this by scale and removing yourself. And you're going to be everyone's hero, right? And there's something, I don't know if I've mentioned the name Mike Ablon to you.
Yeah, he does Pegasus Ablon, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever met him or talked to him. He was on this like 2 years ago. He's one of my best friends, but he ran for mayor a few years back.
Right.
And it was so awesome. He's a white Jewish man that's like 5th generation Dallas, but his entire platform was essentially bridging the gap between South Dallas and the rest of Dallas. Yeah. And I know that, again, what you're doing is not going to just be Dallas based, but it was so fascinating to me where one of the things I learned, and don't quote me, but I think 70% of the land in Dallas is on the other side of the Trinity.
Yep.
80% of the people are on this side of the Trinity.
Yep.
And what are we missing? And so for you to be a part of that, literally at the forefront, especially on the residential side, is crazy. And you're playing Sim City. It's like you're building communities and you're learning this where you can take it and you can scale it. So cliche time. What's the best advice you've ever received?
My dad. I love my dad. My dad's, he's been everything for me, especially as an adult now. And
I feel like you've been an adult, like kind of since day one.
Well, I raised my little siblings. And so there's such a gap between my older siblings, me and the rest of my siblings. I'm kind of like directly in the middle. And so I've been bullied. I've done the bullying. I've been raised and done the raising. So you learn a lot through that process. But my dad always told me growing up, just do your best, and you never know, your best might end up being the best. And it's cliche, but that's how I really approach what we do. Whether it's research, I'm an insurance broker, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate.
You're an insurance broker too?
I am.
Of course.
Of course, right.
Yeah.
Because everyone does insurance, research, and real estate at once.
Yeah, and then heart surgeon stuff.
Yeah. So.
Are you single?
Very.
Not for long. Well, good Lord. Swipe right, everyone, if you're watching this. Actually, you probably need to be single for a little bit.
Probably.
Yeah, you're married to Onu Ventures. It's spoken from a guy who got married at 40. Yeah.
I have some years before I'm ready to do that.
What if
not
your
for lack
wife,
of trying?
What if you meet her through this podcast?
We'll have to come back and tell that story.
Wow. Roger's that.
Yeah.
I would officiate. What if, wow. And now pronounce you man and wife. Roger's that.
Boom.
Okay.
Roger's that in the background.
Yeah. Roger's that in the background. Sorry. You're edifying your dad.
Yeah. So, and because he said that, it took me a while, but I realized, and this is why I'm so just, I want to grow so fast with Onu Ventures, why I'm doing it so early.
You're obsessed.
I'm obsessed, but it's because of what you've said. And I look back, whether it was basketball, football growing up, I was a good player. I played well in college. I played well at SMU, played well at Colorado, played well in high school. Real estate, I've done pretty well for my age. Insurance, I was the top producer at Geico for a little bit. And then research, I got promoted 3 times. I was the youngest ever senior level CRA in that company's history. So I just thought, I'm half doing a lot of this stuff, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job at it. If I do my absolute best, maybe he's right. Maybe I will be the best, because someone's going to go down as the best. When Kobe was born, I'm sure everyone hoped he'd be the best. LeBron hoped, MJ hoped, but you never know. There's
Rodgers.
Rodgers
That's
hoped,
okay.
right? Hope,
Hoping,
hope,
still.
But then eventually they are regarded as some of the greatest of all time. And if they can do it, somebody's gonna have to do it in real estate and development and leasing and in brokerage, whatever. So why not me? I mean, I don't see a reason why not.
So here's the question that eventually gets asked, and we're landing the plane here. And I can answer this probably for you because I think we have the same mindset. Balance.
Yeah.
Does balance exist, my friend?
It does, but not in the way that most people think. So most people think
you balance when you sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most people think of work-life balance. They say, well, it's 9 to 5, then after that, it's work 9 to 5, life after that, right? Or work Monday through Friday, and then Monday through Thursday for most people now, then Friday to Sunday, right? I love what I do. Like I get a thrill doing what I do every single day, no matter how hard it is. I love it. There's nothing on this planet I'd rather be doing. Not playing football, not watching TV, not traveling. Sometimes traveling. But I really love what I do. So my balance is in the work. I love going out and looking at sites. I love
eating dirt.
I mean, who doesn't love the taste of dirt?
I
don't know anybody that doesn't love the taste of dirt.
Ladies, if you're watching, he's not being literal. And if he is, it's really it's good dirt. It's chocolate dirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good chocolate dirt.
Yes.
So, but I love it. And so, it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like I have to balance more than I do. I work, go home, study. I always try to watch an hour of informative podcast. And then I watch one episode of television every night, no matter what. And then I do the same thing the next day.
That's my watch. I thought that was your ring. I was like, that was the cue. Sorry, I didn't even know my watch made noises.
That's our alarm.
This is the part where I tell you that you and I are not balanced at all. We are regimented and we are robots. And like having kids again. Like it's been humbling in a great way where I've learned to modify the stuff that I don't know. I like to work too.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when you get to the point where you work because you want to, it changes things and it makes you that much more powerful. Second to last question, legacy, big word, powerful word. Again, whether you're my age, your age, someone else's age, you look back and you think about all the impact you made with community and reverse gentrification and, pricing it for the now. What's the legacy you're going to leave with Onu Ventures?
Well, I want to, create environments where young people in these communities can show their stuff, where we can breed new innovators, where we can breed new creators. So I want, the next shout out Rasan, the next Ra to be, to have his origin story be, well, I was, at an Onu Ventures development when I was 6 years old, and they had an arts festival there, and that made me spur a passion for the arts. So I think, these communities don't get a lot of that. And so it ends up being very regimented for them. You go and work in the warehouse, you come home, and then it kind of repeats. But I feel like if you were to show innovation, you would breed innovation. And so I want people to be a beneficiary of what we're doing and to pour that innovation back into their communities. And that's how we'll really create. These are decades long processes. Nothing we're doing now will really have a substantial effect to my liking until decades, right? Until the kids that are using it are now growing up and are.
So, ladies, not only is he a control freak, he's also a perfectionist. And you got to finish what you're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I want. Is I want people that are from these communities to pour back into these communities in whatever medium they choose. If you draw, do that in your community. If you sing, do that for your community. If you're a developer, do that in your community. But we have to show them what's possible. And that's what I hope we're doing. And I hope that other people follow suit, because that'll just, create a better environment for these people to exist. And we can cultivate that and put it back into the world.
You're a fire starter. Last question: how do we support you? How do we find about your how do we find out about your developments? How do we potentially be a part of the developments? What's the best way to support everything that you've got going on? If you need insurance, what if we need insurance?
Yeah. So we have a monthly newsletter. So if you go to our website, it's www.onuventuresinc.com.
Thanks for putting the www in front of it.
Yeah, in case you somewhere else that doesn't have www. Is that is that every?
I'm pretty sure this the first W is world.
Yeah,
wide.
Right.
So just onuventures.com or www.onuventures.com
or HTTPS.
See, this is when he's too smart.
No, but go to our website, onuventuresinc.com. Email me. It's mo@onuventuresinc.com. We where we're doing things, we need support, especially, for people who have the wherewithal to make change happen. Please reach out so that we can figure out how to impact together, whether that's financially, whether that's creatively. We're always raising and we're always looking for strategic partners to come in, whether you're a tenant and you're looking to open up your second, third, storefront. We're always looking. So there's really no way you can't be a part of what we're doing. And you're a consumer and we're opening up this marketing cafe. I want you to support our tenants as well. And so, yeah, just stay involved, stay connected, join our newsletter so you can hear what's going on. And then when things are starting to develop and open, come out.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
The end.